your town or city reflects behavior that is in line with the concept of sustainable development? In your opinion, what should be improved? I am originally from Mexico, but I've been living in the beautiful country of South Korea. And after 7 years, I have made Seoul, the soul of this country, my foster city.
In the 1950s, Korea was torn by a civil war that resulted in the separation of Korea between the North and South. Devastated after the war, Korea was in ruins and it was considered one of the poorest countries in the world. They went through the hardship of rebuilding their country despite being under dictatorships, restrictions, and the constant threat of war from North Korea, which is only 55 kilometers far from Seoul. Fast forward 60 years, and you will see that Korea has become a technological prowess, and Seoul, the capital city, passed from being an agrarian community to a modern city with high-tech skyscrapers and a subway system that is the best in the world. They have been able to achieve this miraculous growth without the unintended consequences that other emerging countries are suffering.
I believe that the lifestyle of Koreans and all of us who live in this city is in line with the traditional concept of sustainable development in its three dimensions: social, economical, and environmental.
Economic. The country is mountainous with only 22% of arable land and is practically poor in natural resources that can be exploited for economic purposes. Having realized that the only resource available is the human resource, Seoulites are obsessed with education, which has helped them to achieve a technology-intensive economy rather than labor-intensive like China or India. Koreans spend on average 16 hours a day between school and private academies, and the results are evident. Korea ranks 4th in the world in the number of patents, with the gross of them filed in Seoul. This is important because thanks to this lifestyle, they've been able to keep up with the technological innovations and an efficient use of labor for maintaining a sustainable economy despite the lack of natural resources. Social. The trend of participation of women in politics is growing, such that in 2013 they elected the first female president. Furthermore, despite of their technological advances, trendy fashion, K-pop music, and modernization, Koreans are very proud of their culture, language, and ancient traditions, which they fervently try to preserve and restore after Japan's colonization. Don't be surprised if you see them around wearing their traditional hanboks in the streets or at important social events. Despite the dramatic social and economic changes in Seoul and in the country in general, there is a relatively low income inequality that in return leads to high rates of social mobility. The social segregation is less evident here. Gustavo Petro said, "A developed country is not a place where the poor have cars. It's where the rich use public transportation." And Seoul is the perfect embodiment of this, being Seoul's subway the preferred mode of transportation. Environmental. Balance and harmony is ingrained in the minds of Koreans, which is represented in their flag depicting the yin and the yang. Maintaining such harmony with Mother Nature and our culture of recycling is a pillar for sustainable development. The city of Seoul launched its strategy for green growth that spans from 2009 to 2050, which aims to promote eco-friendly new growth engines, enhance people's quality of life, contribute to international efforts to fight climate change. The city is being transformed and areas are being redesigned to consider more green spaces, urban farms for its citizens, while bicycle lines are becoming the norm. Moreover, a considerable amount is being invested in pursuing ambitious goals which include developing the world's first nationwide smart grid system by 2030, increasing the country's renewable energy to 11% of energy supplies by 2030, reducing its greenhouse emissions 30% by 2020, and building 1 million green homes by 2020. However, despite all of the previous efforts, there is still a lot to be done, especially in the energy and environmental sectors. Air pollution is still an issue here in Seoul, which its citizens usually attribute to China. Coal still accounts for a considerable amount of the total power supply, and due to their active lifestyle, energy and power consumption is on the rise. Furthermore, thanks to larger disposable incomes and conspicuous consumption, solids generate large quantities of waste, for which the recycle efficiency is still not enough. Thus, in order to curb the high waste of energy and better management of garbage disposal, the City of Seoul needs to be more empowered to carry out its responsibilities in applying taxes on residue generation, better implementation of policies, while strengthening the education of its citizens for controlling and reducing energy demand while opting for renewable sources of energy.
Thank you for watching and for considering my application. I hope you enjoyed my video and I'm looking forward to see you all in Madrid. Thank you.